It is Friday night. The gang is all here. We are ready to rock and roll. 45 minutes-ish of wall-to-wall wrestling coverage tonight. We had 2 hours of SmackDown, an hour of Rampage. Dutch Mantell chugging an energy drink. He's ready to roll. We got SP3. I'm Rick Ucchino. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on the Sportskeeda Wrestling Facebook and Twitter pages, and then the Wrestle Binge by Sportskeeda YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much. Got a lot to dive into today. A lot of newsworthy headlines coming out of this week. Dutch,
yep.
What'd you think overall both shows tonight? I know you're normally critical of Rampage. What did you think overall tonight?
Well, nothing's changed. SmackDown was okay. SmackDown was a decent show. Rampage, if they'd make some adjustments, would be a great show. But as it is right now, it's just it sits there and looks at you. Except me, I'm sitting there and it reaches out and slaps the hell out of me. Like, why did you go to sleep? That's what it does to me. I mean, people that cannot go to sleep, really. I think you need to take Rampage, put it in one of those no-dose forms, and sell it at the drugstore. You make $1 million.
Yeah. Here's a Rampage prescription signed by Tony Khan, and there you go.
Well, I do stay awake because I'm wondering what the hell are they going to do? Or, I mean, those backstage interviews, they're not getting any better. They can't get any worse. So I guess we're just stuck with them.
Well, Tony Khan did say this week that it's an all hands on deck situation to try to make Rampage, I guess, more appealing to his audience this past.
Well, what he was looking for was watchable and make it just a little bit interesting.
I was going to say
on there tonight. I'd never heard of in my life. Trent Seven, never heard of him. Saw him. Okay, he's new, but he's going in against Cassidy. What is Cassidy? Like the face of Rampage now?
They called them that on commentary. They called him Mr. Rampage.
Well, that's what he is because he's on every show in the main event. So
well, I like it. I like the fact that he's defending the All Atlantic Championship on a regular basis. Kind of makes it mean something there a little bit. Gives somebody
you would like it, Rick.
Gives the hardcore audience something to tune into every week, and his matches always deliver. So I mean, it is what it is. But Dutch, this past
no
week
ratings.
And that's what I wanted to ask you. This past week, Rampage.
Hey, if somebody is not producing ratings, you know what the first thing you do is you get rid of that person and try somebody else. What did Rampage do last week?
365,000.
Okay, but they had opposition, right? What was going on last week? Ball games?
At 10 o'clock on a Friday? Hell if I know.
Well, they had
I know the NBA on ESPN, they were like number 1, number 2 in the key demo for the night.
Who's that? Rampage?
No, NBA on ESPN.
NBA? Well,
yeah, Rampage had a rough go last week.
They're going to have one to go this week too.
I mean, here's the thing, Dutch. You can talk about making the matches interesting and trying to put more.
Is he preaching to me?
Sid, is he going to let me finish a damn sentence tonight? I can't finish a damn sentence without Dutch jumping down my damn throat. We're 4 minutes into this damn thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Dutch, you can
let me say that. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Knew that one was coming. But you could talk about changing the show and making it better. But I honestly don't know what they can do. The time slot is terrible. It's 10 o'clock on a Friday night. Right after SmackDown, where people have already, watched 2 hours of wrestling, more than likely. And more often than not, the show is pre-taped. So they can sit there and they can look up what the results were. You had your surprise main event entrant tonight. You can look up who the hell it was, so there's no intrigue to tune in. Those are two big hurdles to climb. The fact that the time slot sucks, and chances are SmackDown struggled for years when it was a pre-recorded show.
And your point is?
How do you overcome that? That's the question. You can sit here and say, make the show more interesting, put your bigger stars on there, but if people already know what happened.
Who agreed to put the show on at 10 o'clock?
That was Tony Khan's call, I'm guessing.
Okay.
No, that would be That wouldn't be Tony Khan's call. That would be Warner Brothers
Yeah,
and TNT
they
call.
gave him a
That would be
choice.
the That would be the TV network's call,
10
not Tony
o'clock
Khan.
or 2:30 in the morning. Hell, you may do pretty good at 2:30 in the morning. You might do as good at 2:30 as you would at 10. Are you going to sleep, Rick?
I've been up
He's
since
going to sleep talking about it.
I've been up since 1:30 this morning.
He's just yawning like hell.
I got a sick 2-year-old. I've been up since 1:30 this morning. All right. So yeah, I'm a little exhausted. I'm trying to bring the energy for you though, Dutch.
All right.
I'm trying to bring the energy. Why don't we go ahead and wrap up the Rampage discussion before we dive into SmackDown tonight? I actually, SP3, did enjoy the opener because who the hell wouldn't, except maybe Dutch Mantell. I thought Mox and
I enjoyed the opener.
Okay, fair enough. There we go. The crowd fully behind Takeshita in this one. Ever since Mox and Hangman have had their... Yes, Dutch?
I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
SP3, ever since Hangman Page came back, the crowd has been more and more getting onto Moxley instead of cheering him. When Takeshita kicked out of the Death Rider at 1, the crowd lost their damn mind tonight. Moxley eventually does get the upper hand with the elbows and the strikes, and he chokes him out with the Bulldog choke. Crowd not happy about it. Then we get Hangman Page coming down saying, doctor won't clear me because my head's all screwed up. So, hey, at least I don't have an excuse for not thinking straight. Smacks some Mox across the face, ends up getting a head full of turnbuckle tonight.
Ring post.
Yeah, the ring post, excuse me. We've heard Dutch talk about this before. When you put baby faces against baby faces, you split the audience. Not a whole lot of splitting with the audience here. A lot of people deciding to go with Takeshita and Hangman over John Moxley.
Yeah, I mean, I love that matchup with Takeshita and John Moxley. There are 3 constants in life: death, taxes, and John Moxley bleeding. He came back from break and he had a face full of blood. It was like immediate, and that just kind of raised the stakes. I got
something. Did you see that gash in his head?
Yes, I did.
I went, okay, Abdullah, keep it up. Keep it up, so your head's going to look like I-4 and I-75 around Orlando.
Looked like he got hit with a wrench.
Oh, my God. I was like, and they tried to sell it like it was the big boot that did that to him. I was like.
Yeah, a big boot. Okay. It was an inch gash. I said, which I have my own thoughts about that anyway.
Did Takeshita have razor blades taped to the bottom of his feet? Because that's the only way a big boot did that.
He taped them on the side so it would zip. And you can't see it.
Yeah,
he did get a lot of color. He was covered up.
It was a hard-hitting match, and Takeshita got a lot out of it. I think he needed this match to remind people just how great he's been, because he had his brief time back in Japan, and now he's back here officially a part of the AEW roster, and they can create a story out of this where he has 2 losses against Moxley. Moxley's considered the ace of the company. He can be the future ace of the company and potentially beat Moxley to take that position. So really enjoyed the match. Really liked Takeshita pulling out the stomps to the head, pulling out the little BCC stuff. That was a nice exchange. Of course, the kick out at 1 at the paradigm shift, that just shocked me. And then I love the finish with the crowd kind of getting behind Takeshita, and he tried to power up, but the Bulldog choke was just too much, and he just went down and he passed out. Referee stoppage. Great finish, great match. And I like Hangman Adam Page just coming out once again. He doesn't have much to say. He just wants to kick John Moxley's ass after what happened during the championship match in October. So he comes out, he just says, I'm not thinking straight. I haven't been cleared by the doctor, but I don't care if I haven't been cleared. I'm still going to get in a fight. And he gets in a fight, and then Moxley throws him into the ring post. And I like the story that can be coming out of this, of Moxley going more and more to this like dark side, while the BCC is kind of trying to pull him back to the side of good.
Yeah, conflicting times for John
Page
Moxley.
went down there to get. What did Hangman Page to go down there to do? To settle the score?
To get in another fight with John Moxley.
He ends up, after Moxley fights his ass off for 15 to 18 minutes, then Page gets up and he gets his ass beat. And Moxley's up ready to fight, and Page is laying over there like this. It made no sense whatsoever.
Well, Paige is in concussion protocol. That's basically the storyline. Without them coming out and saying it, because he did suffer a concussion the last time that those two fought, and that's what the doctors are saying he wasn't cleared for. So the fact that Paige got his ass whipped, all it would take was one good shot to the head, and he's going to get his ass whooped.
What I would have liked them to do. What I would have liked them to do there is have Paige on the offensive like he was, and have it be that Claudio and Wheeler getting in between them was the distraction that Moxley needed to do what he did. I think if they would have, sold that a little bit more, I would have believed that. But I do understand where Dutch is coming from.
Yeah, that would have been a good thing. What I would like to see is the TV to go black, just go off the air during that match, so I don't have to watch it. Great match. I'm not taking anything from the match. In my opinion, that's what I got to say. In my opinion,
sure,
great match. But the thing with Paige, protocol or not, coming down to the ring and then getting the crap beat out of him, the announcers didn't explain it. If you really wanted to explain that, you should have had a doctor or two around him. But
well, they did. Doc Samson came, and then commentary did say that he isn't cleared due to the concussion. So that's why he was and they sold it very well with the kind of like the stammering and the kind of the stutter step before he fell over.
Well, I didn't see it. Because I could have been throwing up in the side.
SP3. Yeah, SP3 celebrating 1 year of Hook. Happy anniversary to you and all your fellow hookers.
All hookers, y'all can stand up from your individual homes as we celebrate 1 year of Hook, that beautiful, beautiful, ambiguous man.
Hopefully everybody has some MJF money so we can all go out to the Waffle House tonight. That's where Stokely Hathaway is going. Obviously, he wants some justice.
With the you forgot with the homegirl Keisha.
Yeah, exactly. I love Stokely Hathaway.
Who is Keisha the second?
The homegirl Keisha, I think that's the full name. The homegirl Keisha is the person who took the footage of Hook not having his foot underneath the ropes during the match with Lee Moriarty.
Really? Hey, listen, the shot straight in. How would you know whether his foot was under the rope or not?
I know it was
well, it wasn't under the rope.
He was like, it's clearly not all the way under the ropes. I mean, no, it's not clear at all.
Dutch, is it any different than when you have two people watching an NFL replay at a bad angle and they see completely different things? Is it any different than that?
Listen, you got to, Rick, you're an NFL fan. When they look at that little white line and see if the shoe, they get into it in detail. Here, his foot was straight in and the rope was right. How would you know?
Well, I think that was just Stokely trying to work his way into getting. Yeah, that was his point. He was trying to work his way into getting Lee Moriarty a rematch, finding some kind of controversy about the loss.
I didn't get
They'll probably have Hook show a different angle in a week from now, and it'll be plain as
they'll have Taz do it.
Yeah, they'll have Taz do it.
Techniques by Taz.
Yeah, techniques by Taz.
You are the big apologizer for AEW I've ever seen in my life.
Yep, that's me. That's that's what they say about me on social media. If they talked about me on social media. Second matchup of the night was Shida versus the Bunny. This was for I forgot the championship that was on the line.
Wave.
Yes, the Wave Championship. But it was also
Regina de Wave.
Yes, it was also for an AEW Women's Championship opportunity against Jamie Hayter. Shida fighting off the Bunny and Penelope Ford to get the win here. Crowd was into it. SP3, you can sign me up for Shida and Jamie Hayter for her first defense. I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah, this was fine. The point was setting up a new challenger for Jamie Hayter. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for Shida versus Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter got some more camera time. Always good in my book. So, yeah, thumbs up. This accomplished something on the show.
Yeah, it was a little weird when these two approached Shida last week or the week before or whenever, but hey, a means to an end in this situation, Dutch, and now we got our first challenger for our new AEW Women's Champion.
Oh, well, that's good. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Good. Well,
good.
I'm taking my cue from you. If it's good, if you say it's good, it's good. I liked it.
All right, Dutch, you're all for a good squash match. What did you think of Big Bill Morrissey and Lee Moriarty decimating the local job squad tonight?
Oh, I haven't seen one like that since the Mulkey brothers back 1935.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You're gonna have to fill me in on that.
Except the Mulkeys could work a little bit. These guys, they did their job. They went in there, and I don't know. It's just, I'm glad it was short. That's all it could have been.
So were you not impressed with Big Bill and Morrissey or Big Bill and Moriarty, or were you not impressed with the local job squad?
Either one of them.
Really?
I'm impressed that AEW came up with a name worse than W. Morrissey. Big Bill.
Well, here's the thing. Big Bill Morrissey
Are you preaching again?
Isn't that bad. Me personally, I'm allowed to have an opinion. Big Bill Morrissey ain't bad. Just calling him Big Bill, that sucks. If you put Morrissey on the end of it, it doesn't sound as bad. At least
they may come out next week with the country song Big Bill, Big Bad Bill. They could maybe sell some albums or something, or sell some kind of.
I would have called him Big Dub personally. Then you can put a win streak behind him and then call him Big Dub. Another Big Dub for Big Dub.
Listen, Rick, we're not here to bullshit. We're here to critique the shows and cut all this other crap out.
You are absolutely right. No fun allowed, sir. Our main event tonight, as announced by Mark Henry and Danhausen, was Orange Cassidy.
That was great. Best part of the show.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
And Moxley was Danhausen trying to steal the shine because we're so used to Orange Cassidy doing it. Now Danhausen wants to do the catchphrase.
Oh, you're just gonna say my line?
No, that was good. Okay, I didn't watch the whole match because I have to come in here early. So what happened in the match?
Well, Sid's gonna have to explain it because I had to put my son back to bed for most of it. I did see the end of it with Trent Seven just beating Orange Cassidy's ass in this match, ass and his chest. That just the whole raw meat situation going up there, all in his chest cavity there. Orange Cassidy does pick up the win. Then he gets beat up by Kip Sabian and Trent once he revived him at the end of the match. Dustin Rhodes comes down to stop the beat down here. But if the front half was anything like the back half, I thought this was a good way to close out the show tonight, SP3.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed this matchup. I think that, we had a great opener to the show and we had a really good main event. I think Trent Seven went out there trying to impress since he's been in purgatory or West Bubblefuck, or as I like to call it, NXT UK for all these years where no one watches it except for 7 people that live in Newcastle upon Tyne. So he had to impress here. He had to show people that he's talented. He had a hard-hitting matchup. That twisting power driver on Orange Cassidy was very impressive as hell. His ripcord lariat got a very good near fall. And he gave Orange Cassidy one of his better matches for the All-Atlantic Championship. So I thought it was a really good matchup. And then Dustin coming out, it seems that we're gonna get probably a tag team match with Dustin and Orange Cassidy versus Kip and Trent Seven, which I'm okay for. Put it on Rampage. Give me another week. Make these Rampage stories mean something. And maybe someone like Dutch will get into it if you try to get it over.
That's an idea to make some of these stories connect with these guys. So you want to see something.
All right. Well, let's move on to SmackDown here, guys. They crammed a lot into 2 hours tonight. Not a lot of BS going on tonight. Opens up with the tag team title match, which originally, Dutch, was supposed to be the Usos defending against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Yeah. Both Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns in War Games suffered ruptured eardrums, so they did not clear McIntyre to compete tonight. So it ended up just being Butch taking his place. Honestly, I think that might have been. Yeah.
Roman has a busted eardrum.
Ruptured eardrum, yeah.
From Kevin Owens.
Slapping the crap out of him, yeah.
Don't know where McIntyre got it in the match, but McIntyre also
got around Kevin Owens. He probably got it from him, from the left side this time. Boom.
Dutch, have you ever had a ruptured eardrum during a match?
I don't know. But I've been slapped hard as hell and almost knocked out by just a slap.
Oh yeah.
One of the the Harris boys, Ron and Don Blue, they said that's the way you do it. I said, what do you mean? He said, don't punch a guy. He said, just open hand slap him right here. He said it will stun. Well, he didn't have to tell me because I've always been hit by some working punches and it stunned the shit out of me. So that's because they used to be bouncers at these bars, and that's the way they'd get them. They just cuff them. He said that backs them up. That gets their attention.
Hell, there's a whole sport dedicated to it now. Just slapping people in the damn face.
The slap league.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this: how many of them summits is going to be leaving saying, "Huh? What?"
All of them. All of them. Shit, I remember my one match, Dutch. My one-on-one match that you watched, right?
Please don't remind me. But it was better than something on Rampage tonight.
There's a reason why there wasn't a second one. All right, but anywho, I was doing the practice for that match, the rehearsal. We talk about practice.
Yeah.
And the guy I was wrestling, who hadn't been doing it much longer than I had at that point.
He slapped you.
He slapped the shit out of me. And the second that his hand connected with my face, it was like somebody just took a channel changer, hit the button, and it was just white noise. I couldn't hear a fucking, pardon my French, I couldn't hear a damn thing. And I'm just sitting here and I'm going, okay, this is practice. Do I just continue? I guess so. That's what I've been taught to do. So I'm just going to start throwing the elbows, and luckily we were toward the finish there. But yeah, I could not hear for a week out of my left ear, and I already got hearing problems.
So both Drew and Roman had a busted eardrum.
Ruptured eardrums.
How does that heal?
Time, patience,
heal on its own, or
body doing what it does. Yeah. Eventually, my hearing came back. So
eardrops. I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, Roman will be back next week, so he
ain't gonna wrestle.
Well,
he ain't gonna wrestle, no. But.
Yeah, he might walk by Kevin Owens in the dressing room and just give him a big pop on those ears. How's this, boy? Pow!
Well, maybe there'll be a receipt somewhere down the line. But we did get a tag team title match regardless. Drew McIntyre couldn't compete. SP3, I think I have a hunch that might have been a blessing in disguise, because I feel like if Sheamus and McIntyre fought the Usos tonight, we weren't going to get a finish. I feel like that was a match that, I mean, maybe a pin Sheamus, maybe Sheamus is the guy who takes the L, but I feel like there was a better chance of some shenanigans. We saw a little bit of shenanigans tonight, but Butch takes the L clean for the Usos tonight. I think if Sheamus and McIntyre were there, that would increase the likelihood of there not being a finish for this matchup. I feel like if Sheamus and McIntyre are getting a tag team title shot, they should win it. So doing it right now, and I'm talking way down the line. If you're going to put those two together as a tag team, fucking put them together as a tag team. You know what I'm saying? Not just for like a one-off spot. So this was another good match for the Usos, another good win. I like the fact that they're defending the titles more. I think it makes this reign mean something a little bit more. This is like their 5th title defense since Crown Jewel at this point. Yes, Dutch.
Go ahead, Dutch.
I'll say something. Oh, thank you, Rick. So you're saying that if Sheamus and McIntyre go up against the Usos should drop the titles to those guys?
Not right now. Which is why I'm saying this was a blessing in disguise. I'm not saying the Usos should drop those belts until WrestleMania. I'm just saying, doing that match, if they're going to put Sheamus and McIntyre together, I'd rather them get an elongated run and not lose their first match together.
Well, they've had them for 500
some odd days, yeah.
That's a long time, buddy, to keep the crowd's interest. So what's going to go on with Mr. What's his name?
Sami Zayn?
Those slaps on the ears, it works in the brain too, buddy.
Yeah, sure does. Absolutely. I'm still suffering the effects from that, and that was 2 years ago.
Sami Zayn, what's going to happen with him? Because he held back tonight, and Jay or Jimmy wanted to tell him something. What did they tell him? Cut his hair and trim his beard?
Yeah, Jay said, hey, look, Tribal
Chief.
It's going to be
a big night.
Big night for you. maybe trim up the hair a little bit, get looking your best. And obviously Sami Zayn is thinking, oh shit, I'm about to become full-fledged Bloodline, full-fledged Uso. I feel like we're getting, good fellas. I think he's about to get peshied. Like
he's gonna walk into the room and he's gonna get his plane splattered.
Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen that. If you've probably seen the gif of Pesci walking into a blank room.
What's the name of that movie?
Goodfellas. My favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, I feel like Sami Zayn is gonna get peshied next week. That's just gut feeling.
He could.
No, not next week. I think they're gonna stretch it on toward.
I think they should.
It's so far done a masterful job with it. Because here we are. I've been around a bit as 50 years. I'm talking about it, but they've done it well. And I like to see angles they can pull the trigger on it at any time. Say if their whole roster fell over and they need an angle, go to Sammy.
Yeah.
And it would probably fill in. It would do a good job. So I like the job they've done with it.
Well, and I like this SP3 too, because you are going to have people who are going to tune in next week just for this angle, because either Sami Zayn is going to get the love fest that he wants and he's going to be fully accepted into the Bloodline and everybody's going to love it, or the inevitable is finally going to happen and we can all rip off that Band-Aid that Sami Zayn's no longer with the Bloodline. And now we can focus on Sami Zayn's massive babyface push, and everybody's going to love it. So either way, next week, whichever way this happens, it's going to be a win-win situation for WWE and Sami Zayn in particular.
Mm-hmm. And especially if they do it next week, they can have the whole build-up of 1 month, off of Sami Zayn before he returns in the Royal Rumble match. And you can have, the Bloodline dominating in the Rumble matchup, and then Sammy comes in and he eliminates both Usos. You can have, Solo eliminate him. There's a lot of stuff that you can do, and that's going to set the stage for Elimination Chamber when it's probably going to be Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns. So it is a strong possibility that it can go down next week. So I'm excited for that. As far as the opening matchup, I thought it was a really, really good opener to the show. I thought all four guys worked really well with one another. Butch was in there. He showed a lot of energy, especially during the 25 or 30 beats of the Bowery. By the time he finished off on Jey Uso, he looked really good in the matchup. Sheamus showed that he's still over, and the Brawling Brutes have become such an important babyface stable for SmackDown that kind of came out of nowhere. It kind of came out of left field, but they're still over with the crowds. They still got the crowds behind them, and that created this, great atmosphere for this matchup, and all our guys delivered here. And the Usos with another strong defense, and they got the #1 PWI Tag Team of the Year, the PWI Tag Team 100, and it's well deserving because they keep giving us quality matches like this, and they're a part of the top storyline in all of wrestling.
Yeah, as Safet says, it's gonna be something next week. It's gonna be interesting to see which direction that they try to go. Yes, Dutch.
Oh, I forgot now.
Right.
But what they have done, they have listened to the fans, and the fans will tell you what's over. Just listen to them, and they're going to tell you. Now they know they got it, so no need to rush it. I mean, they got something with Sami Zayn. You look at Sami Zayn, looks like he hadn't walked by a gym in 10 years, but he's over. The people love him. So if you have some heels really do something dastardly to him, I mean,
Sweet heat.
The Usos and Roman, they can't get over anymore. But it would really, really help them because they care about Sammy. And you mess him up, that's going to piss people off. And it'll be a win-win for everybody. Win-win for Sammy, win-win for the Usos and Roman, and a win-win for WWE.
I think, talking about what you're saying with this listening to the audience and working with Sami Zayn, I thought Paul Heyman put it the best when he was in the Survivor Series post-media scrum, where he said Sami Zayn, he was the bit character that ended up being a full cast member, right? He was brought in for a guest spot, and he was so damn good that they made him a full-fledged cast member. He's basically the Urkel of this situation. And let's just hope his run as solo star here goes a lot better than when they made Family Matters about.
Solo is showing signs of intrigue because he just looks. You don't know where his mind is, what he's thinking, and he could go any way too. You know, instead of Jimmy or Jay turning on Sammy, which is what it looked like it was going to happen, could be Solo.
I think
he's the guy who got over by what I call osmosis, just being with them. And he's over big time.
And here's the thing you got to remember about Solo. He was sent in by the elders. Who's to say he wasn't just sent there to be, back up to Roman Reigns? He could be a double agent in all of this. He could be reporting everything back to the elders, possibly.
All they got to do is watch TV.
Well, I understand, but
I think that Solo is gonna be the head of the whole team when eventually they turn on Roman. I think once Roman drops these titles, the bloodline will turn on him.
Yes, that's a possibility, but Solo could also be the catalyst for bringing The Rock in as well if he can't make it to the Royal Rumble, which is an entirely other thing.
Hey, guys, quit having these good ideas. I mean, you have to make me admit they're good ideas. And I hate to do that.
Speaking of the Royal Rumble, gentlemen, do we think John Cena is coming back on the December 30th episode of SmackDown to announce that he will be in next year's Royal Rumble match?
I do.
It seems to be perfect timing there, SP3.
Oh yeah.
I hope so. I hope that's what we're getting, and I hope when he's in the Royal Rumble, we get that moment where Cena clears house, he tosses everybody out, and then the glass shatters, and Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out. Yeah. We get a stare down with those two, set up WrestleMania right there, and that's your main event of night one of WrestleMania.
Here's what I want, because I knew exactly where you're going to go with that.
What if we had Vince come in right then? You're fired.
Nah, we don't have to do that.
Had a bunch of cops come in there and arrest him and take him out.
What I would love, SP3, is for Cena to come down and clear out the ring. Like he just chucks 7 or 8 dudes, right? Maybe he gets a couple of one-on-one guys and he chucks them out. Then I want him to go up to the top rope, stare at an invisible watch, do the double tap, pull the Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then have the glass break. I think that would be a nice little homage.
Great idea.
Perfect. Set that up perfectly.
And when they use them, we'll sue them.
All right. The LA Knight Bray Wyatt saga continued tonight, and we were left with a massive cliffhanger. Knight comes out, calls out Wyatt, for the backstage attacks that have happened in recent weeks, presents his evidence. Uncle Howdy then sends a message. I couldn't tell if he was sending the message to Bray or to LA, but he was saying, what the hell are you waiting for? Whether he was telling Bray to take out LA or LA to make a move, I couldn't quite tell, but LA does make a move. He goes to the back to find Bray. Later on, he finds him in the dark. Well, he walks into a room. It was light then. The lights go out. LA does a smart thing, immediately turns on his flashlight on his cell phone, and he turns around, and there's Uncle Howdy. We get a brief little shout. And then nothing, Dutch. We got no follow-up on this. Usually things go in threes. Tonight we were left hanging. What happened to LA Knight? What happened to Bray Wyatt?
Well, I was interested in that just to see how they're going to handle it. So now I'm being forced to watch it next week again, just to see what happens. But that was a good spot. And whether they do it in twos or threes, they got your attention with it, and that's what they want to do. They did a good job of that.
SP3, I'm not sure where SmackDown is next week. I'm sure they said it.
Chicago.
Perfect. I think what you do is you open up next week with LA Knight strung up outside of the arena, and boom, done. There you go. Slow pan.
No.
You could do the Scream 2.
That wouldn't even make sense. He literally flew on a plane with LA Knight to another building to put him out front. Like
Bray Wyatt, that's fucked up shit. What do you want me to do?
weird and unusual and unnecessary, honestly. But we do need some follow-up for what happened there. I thought the promo by LA Knight was effective. I thought I loved him pointing out the mask, because I didn't see the mask in the second attack. I loved him pointing that out, so that was great. And I loved Uncle Howdy's message, because you can kind of interpret it as a message to Bray.
What was the message again?
That he deserves to suffer, and that do it right now. What are you waiting for? And that can be interpreted as continue the suffering for LA Knight that I started, because I think we all can allude also to that message, that it's Uncle Howdy attacking LA Knight to further the feud between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. That's how I am interpreting everything right now. And then you could also interpret it as a message to LA Knight that Bray Wyatt is weak, so he deserves to suffer.
And when I said earlier, when he came out there with the models of what? Maximum male models.
Maximum male models, yeah.
Dead on arrival, it was. But LA Knight, by himself, he can talk a little bit. He has presence, and you notice him. So this angle, this little slant to it that they've done is working, and they're not throwing it all to you at one time.
Yeah.
So you sit back and you say, what I think, and that's the key to wrestling. What do you think they're going to do now? Just not what we're doing right here. Where do you think they'll go? But they got my attention wherever they go. I guess I go with them.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just a few weeks ago, LA Knight is going by a different name, and he's watching dudes strut around in a ring and then getting pissed off when they lose tag matches. And now he's feuding with one of the most over acts in the company as LA Knight, and he's slowly starting to get over with the audience because of it. You heard the crowd tonight do a yeah chant. People are starting to realize talent, and that's good for him. I'm glad that is happening.
Well, if a talent is going to get over, you can tell it by the second week. The third week should be more of a sure mark, and by just judging tonight, he's there. He's past the threshold, and he's there.
This is the best way WWE gets over talent, is you put a talent that's not really over against a talent that is 100% over with the fans. It kind of works out in their favor a lot of times. Now, on the other hand, you have what they're doing with this triple threat tag team feud with Hit Row, Viking Raiders, and Legado del Fantasma. And I'm just like, these are three acts that aren't over. Like, they got both entrances for the match, got no reaction. Hit Row coming out and attacking them, got no reaction. And I was just like, this is great if this was NXT. But this is the main roster. These are three acts that you are trying to get over. They're not going to get over against each other.
Those three teams couldn't draw you a stick figure. I think they killed each other worse than they are now. I didn't get that at all.
I'll say this much. It was
well, you're wrong.
As far as like booking is concerned, and I understand what you're saying, SP3, this was an upswing that Hit Row needed, because they've been getting their ass kicked as of late. So them actually like standing tall here a little bit was something that they needed, and to show a little bit more of an aggressive side.
They're just gonna lose next week, though. No one's gonna remember this.
I mean,
it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter in the long run. They did all of that, and they got zero reaction. Yeah. They got less of a reaction when they actually make their entrance just how it was. They were late on the attack. This couldn't have worked out worse than WWE planned it to be this bad.
Well, not everything's going to be a home run, SP3. Let's calm down a little bit.
Just put them together. That was it. Three teams. I think the Vikings, I feel sorry for them. They had a little bit of steam, a little bit.
Seriously? I was like, and they did that to Valhalla. I was like, I thought you were trying to actually build her up, and then she's selling for BFAB. I was like, what are we doing?
What, one kick to the face and she's out, down and out on the outside?
She's gone. Back to the Garden of the Gods, Valhalla. I think that's what it means. or something like that.
Well, let's
continue, Rick. Continue.
Let's move on from two feuding factions to another feuding, or three feuding factions to the next one. We had a contract signing tonight, and I actually really I enjoyed this. The second that the New Day came out and immediately just called out a contract signing for exactly what it is, just breaking the fourth wall. Adam Pearce was like, "You don't think things are going to get physical, do you?" And Xavier Woods was like, "Do you watch wrestling? Do you not know how this works?" I mean,
everybody knew it was going to happen. Everybody.
You had a brief little exchange between Gunther and Ricochet. I thought both of them delivered their lines well. You had a green and white Power Ranger tribute. You had Xavier Woods looking like Rick James out there tonight. This had a little bit of everything, SP3. And as far as contract signings go, I think this is the best way to do it. Just call it out for what it is.
But Ricochet didn't sign it.
Yeah, I never saw him sign the contract.
They skipped something. They skipped the.
What did they call Gunther? Gabby or something?
What
were they calling him?
I think they just called him Gunther.
Yeah, they called him Gunther. I think Ricochet and them called them something. But I'm sorry, I'm not like Rick. Pointing out something is poorly written doesn't make it well written. If you point out that something is a bad concept and you have a contract signing where both parties do not sign the contract, then you might as well have just did a promo to set this up. Like, there was no point to this. I rather much talk about the 6-man tag that followed, because that was the good part about this. It was kind of there to set up the 6-man tag. I can't praise it for pointing out the bad writing.
I'm big on self-deprecating humor, right? And just, knowing that what you're doing is a ridiculous trope. There's something about that I enjoyed tonight, and I like the New Day being involved in this.
I did find out something tonight there watching that. Gunther is left-handed. That's how he signed his name. So,
do we think, because Ricochet did get the win tonight, he pinned Ludwig Kaiser to keep his momentum rolling. Do we think there's a chance Ricochet wins the Intercontinental Championship next week?
I don't think so.
Not a chance. No chance in hell.
He can win it if they just want to kill Gunther completely. They did a good enough job a week or two ago when they had him running from the monster of all monsters.
Yeah.
Probably he's running from his breath. Get out of here. But I don't think Ricochet will win it.
I think it'll be a great match. I think it'll open the show. It'll give them a bunch of time, and the Chicago crowd will be definitely into it.
I think Ricochet has arguably more momentum now on the main roster than I think he's at least had in a while. A loss to Gunther doesn't kill that, but a great performance against Gunther, I think that could help carry that over. What you don't want is, Ricochet versus Brock Lesnar in Saudi Arabia, where he got destroyed inside of like 38 seconds. That's not what you want in this situation. So I think as long as Ricochet goes out there, gets the crowd behind him, maybe gets a near fall or two and makes the crowd lose their damn minds, like we saw with Takeshita kicking out at 1 tonight, I think that would be enough for Ricochet to continue his momentum. It's not the time to take the title off of Gunther. SP3, we've talked about for weeks now how there really isn't any tag teams in the women's division for Damage Control to defend those titles against. I guess we have a new team that has now been added to the division. It is Liv Morgan and Tegan Nox. Michael Cole tonight called them the new tag team, Liv Morgan and Tegan Nox. So I guess we have a new team in the division to get the division up to technically 3, I guess, if you want to count Ronda and Shayna as in the division. They get the win tonight over Ronda and Shayna thanks to a distraction by Raquel Rodriguez, because, of course, Tegan hits the wizard. They pin Shayna Baszler. Your thoughts on Liv and Tegan as a tag team? The booking tonight, it is what it is. Your thoughts on them as a tag team, though?
Who you asking, me or Sid?
Sid.
Honestly, I sometimes watch this show and watch WWE programming and wonder if it's the same people booking these same segments on the same show. How does the same people that booked the Bloodline storyline and booked, the opening matchup, the 6-man tag team matchup that we just saw, and then book this whole mess? Because they should have just kept the Ronda and Shayna involvement to the show, to them attacking Shotzi in the back. That was cool. Their little promo in the back, their little encounter with Liv Morgan and Tegan Nox was good to maybe preview a matchup for maybe next week, or follow up with it. And maybe this week you should have done like Liv Morgan and Tegan Nox versus like a team that's obviously that they could be with Sonya Deville and like Thea Lee, or put any mishmash tag team together. You do it all the time. It doesn't matter, but they didn't need to beat. They didn't need to beat one of the 2 other tag teams in the division here. They didn't need to beat the SmackDown Women's Champion and Shayna Baszler, who supposedly you might be trying to rebuild up in this partnership with Ronda. You're trying to build them up as this new powerful force in the women's division on SmackDown. And then they lost here due to a bad distraction. A bad distraction that was not well blocked off, was not well planned. Ronda Rousey was obviously looking towards the ring when Tegan Nox hit Shayna Baszler with the shiniest wizard, and then had to act like she was still distracted by Raquel to get to the finish. Oh, this was so bad.
I gotta smoke a joint. Hang on, guys.
Sid,
hey, catch me up on this Tegan Nox girl.
hang on. One. Well, I'll get to Tegan in here in a second. But Sid, let me ask you a question real quick. How is the Shayna Baszler we have now teaming up with Ronda Rousey any different than the Shayna Baszler we had teaming up with Nia Jax? Because it's the exact same thing.
No, it's not. Like this was the example here. Like as soon as they made this match, I was like, this is 2 teams that should not be losing. What are we doing here? Like Shayna and Ronda should not be losing as a team. And you made Shayna look good last week when she beat Shotzi and then stood and beat up other girls until it was 3-on-1, and then she had to walk away. Well, she beat Emma, and then Shotzi came out, she beat her up too, and then Raquel came out and she walked away. That made her look like a formidable force, and then she takes a loss this week. It's like, do we care? No, I don't think so.
I mean,
we don't care about the SmackDown Women's Division. There's no care in the SmackDown. All the care in the SmackDown Women's Division went to the budget on the production of the Lacey Evans 47th and a half vignette that they have done on her this year.
Yeah, they did one. We got it. She was in the military. Okay, we got that. But I didn't think it was that good. I don't think it helped her at all. They're just beating it to death.
Like, I don't.
Tegan Nox is from where?
She's from New Zealand, is it? Or Australia?
Either New Zealand or Australia. I can't. I'm not 100% sure. But she was.
She's not ready. She is not. I don't know how long she's been in developmental. I don't know what she was doing down there. Reading. She's from
Wales. She's from Wales.
Okay. She has missed a lot of time. As you saw in the promo package, she got signed in 2018, immediately tore her ACL. She came back a year later, tore her ACL again. She came back. She did some work with Dakota Kai down in NXT. Barely was a part of War Games. And then, they bring her up to the main roster. She did a couple of matches for, teaming up with Shotzi. They even beat the tag team champions. Then they split them up 3 times. They split them up in the draft. They moved her over to Raw. They parked her on the bench for several months, and then they released her. And for the better part of a year now, SP3, she's been dealing with visa issues. So this is honestly the first action she's seen in almost 2 years. Really? If we honestly think about it, and she hasn't wrestled a whole lot.
Rusty. She's pretty rusty.
That's it's got to be ring rust if anything. She just has not had a lot of time in the ring over the last
the ring rust.
Years.
She's just the shits, one or the other.
Nah, I don't think so.
I don't think she's the shits. I think she is very, very talented.
Did you see
just got to get
moving in there? She's unsure of herself. And she doesn't. Now, that could be, I guess, ring rust. She wasn't moving smoothly. Kind of she was hesitating on some of the stuff she did. I saw her arm drags. Pathetic. Not very good. But that's what they send them to Orlando for. If you can't learn to give a graceful arm drag, there's something wrong with the other person working with you. So it just looked forced. I didn't like it. Well, I wish I would fire everybody right now in the girls division except for Ronda and Baszler. I'd fire everybody. Then 5 minutes later, I'd hire them all back just to show them I could do it. See what I mean? But Tegan Knox, I think
you worked for Vince too long.
I didn't work for Vince long enough. That's what it was. But do you think Vince would pick these matches apart?
No. Vince wouldn't have these matches because none of these women would be on the show.
Now, you don't know that.
No, you don't know that. They had one women's match per show.
I'm just saying, like, not any of these women would be on the show right now. Tegan wouldn't even be in the company right now.
This is true.
Yeah. All of his decisions weren't bad.
Hey, Vince did a better job pushing Liv Morgan than Triple H.
So I'm glad you brought up Liv Morgan because she was.
I'm not.
She was gaining some momentum with this crazy new singles persona.
Was she?
I thought so. They didn't. I don't think the fans wanted her in that. I mean, she affects she's a beautiful girl, and you kind of like she has a beautiful face, and they're kind of drawn to that, and making her like, out of control, killer like, and the people didn't connect to that. Or I didn't.
That's who she is. She's crazy. She loves doing extreme shit. That's who she actually is, whether you want to connect with that or not.
Well, if you were creative, I would fire you right now. And then I'd hire you right back just to show you.
The point is they start doing something completely different with her after she drops the women's title. And now it's like, okay, completely pivot. Let's do something else and throw you into a random tag team, which they have literally done with her entire fucking career on the main roster since they broke up the Spirit Squad. This is Vince booking 101. It's like, well, we can't continue to push Liv as a singles babyface, so let's just put her in a damn tag team. I'm not sure.
She had her turn. She had her turn, Rick. She had her turn, and it's time to move on.
And that is done all the time, Rick. If you don't have something to do with somebody, and I've seen this, put her in the tag team.
Yeah.
Like it's a second thought. And they put her in the tag team. She goes out there and bombs again. But she was going to bomb anyway.
At least she's wrestling. She's on TV. You got Sonya Deville tweeting she wants to wrestle. I haven't seen Natalia in a week. I know they're trying to sell it as she broke her nose, but quote unquote, broke her nose.
I was gonna say, I mean that's the most damage that Shayna and Ronda are doing is they've literally injured a third of the locker room. That's the story right now.
What's my favorite saying? If you mess up this week, you got 51 more weeks this year to fix it.
There you go.
They're going to work to fix it.
That's the way I think about this show. Let's talk about the main event angle tonight. Kurt Angle's celebration. We saw this sprinkled out throughout the entire night. I thought there were good moments in the lead up to this. The world's greatest dad card from Jason Jordan was a pretty good shout. I did chuckle at that tonight, but my goodness, they made Alpha Academy look ridiculous in this closing segment. I'm not sure what the hell the point of this was tonight.
Well, they were going to, I'm saying, are they going to destroy this cake and it's all over the ring and it's messy? And then he said, you're going to need some milk. And then they told me right then they're going to squirt it in the ring. How many times have we seen that? I mean, maybe it's been 10 years, right? Or longer.
It's been 20. It's been 20 since the first time they did that.
I mean, and here's the confusing thing. So Gable Steveson, which I think is like the only point of doing this, is to kind of introduce him as, hey, this guy's also won an Olympic gold medal. He's at our PC right now. He's an up and comer. You're going to see him real soon. I think that's really the only point they had to this tonight. He's back in the party. Kurt, he asked Kurt if he wants him to come to the ring with him. And Kurt's like, nah, you stay back here. Everything's fine. And then Kurt comes to the ring. Alpha Academy does their thing.
By himself.
Kurt walks off and then pulls out Gable Steveson like they had this premeditated thing with the milk truck going on. And I'm like, you literally told him to stay back and do nothing. You had no idea Alpha Academy was going to come out there and be butthurt that they weren't invited to your party.
And how convenient a milk truck.
Yeah, from the 1940s
right
as
outside the arena floor.
And they're chucking
Hey,
bottles.
Kurt, guess what's out there? What? A milk truck.
Oh,
really?
shit.
Okay.
And then they're chucking the bottles. They're chucking the bottles at these dudes, and they're just standing there taking it. And then Kurt is playing to the crowd, about ready to blast them with a fire hose full of milk, and they're just standing there waiting on it. If somebody's about to hit me with a fire hose of anything, I am running the fuck away. The whole thing was cluttered.
The redeeming value of that, though, is I'm thinking, okay, after this, they're going to show me what happened with LA Knight.
Yeah, that would be a better close to the show. Is if they just would have ended with like LA Knight attack backstage. Like that would have been a proper close to the show. This felt like a non-canon ending to the show. Like this had nothing to do with the rest of the freaking show. It's like it's like I spent a whole freaking whole season watching Power, and then out of nowhere came Friends. Like it's two totally different shows. Like I feel like I was like, what am I watching anymore? What is this? They did the whole cliffhanger with, oh, Gable, you can stay back here. I'll go to the ring alone, making it feel like they were gonna do some type of angle. I was like, Bray Wyatt, have Bray Wyatt come out, attack, Kurt Angle to close the show, and you don't even have to do anything with LA Knight. We can learn about LA Knight next week, but have Bray come out for the fans, in the arena and attack Kurt Angle. Boom, I would have been down for that, but nope.
Write that down. Good idea.
No, we get a segment that would have felt really in place in the first hour, but felt totally out of place as soon as Alpha Academy came out. I was like, one, why is this Raw tag team out here? Two, what does this have to do with the rest of the show we just saw? And three, we are setting up for a segment I've seen better numerous different times now. Like, what are we doing?
The only redeeming quality about this was Michael Cole and his milk puns.
Yes, that was it.
I was laughing my ass off.
Legendary Dairy was the best one.
That's good. Write that down. Legendary. I got it.
He finally jumped the shark with the last thing he said when he called it milk down. Like that was the worst one. And unfortunately that was the last thing he said. But the more he kept going with it, I was laughing my ass off and not paying attention to what was going on in the ring. I was just listening to Michael Cole scream milk puns. That was the way the show closed out for me. I thought Michael Cole did a great job with that. But other than that, yeah, I don't understand what the point of this was. Other than to appease the crowd in Pittsburgh, which fuck Pittsburgh, and it's a house show ending.
You can't say that.
Sure I can. I'm from Cincinnati.
Pittsburgh get pissed off at you.
I don't care. I don't give a damn.
Will.
They need to beat the Ravens for me this weekend. That would be great, though. I'd appreciate that.
Rate the show, SmackDown. What would you give it out of a 10?
6.5-ish? Somewhere in that ballpark.
If it wasn't for the ending to the show, I would have gave it an 8 out of 10. This was one of the best episodes of SmackDown in a while, honestly, with the 6-man tag, the opening tag team title match, the things they did with Bray Wyatt and LA Knight was fun. The Bloodline stuff was fun. There was a lot of good stuff on the show, and then they just ended it with a fart in church. So 7 out of 10.
I'll give it a 6.
Steven Chambers saying, guessing Gable Steveson feuding with the Alpha Academy. I don't think Gable Steveson is going to be up anytime soon.
Gable Steveson is the kid that just come back. Is he the new kid on the Olympic team?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not ready.
Clearly.
He won't be ready
this is the kid who got drafted to Raw in the last draft last year, and this is his second appearance on TV. His brother has gotten more play in NXT. We haven't even seen Gable in NXT. So
and his brother's really good.
His brother's really good. So they're working with him. But Braun Strowman says, when you're ready, come on up and see me. And
that's what he said.
Well, we'll see how that goes. Dutch, what you got going on this weekend? Anything to promote? Got anything going on other than chewing on your stogie?
No, I don't do anything on weekends. Are there any ball games on? There got to be some ball games on, right?
Ring of Honor's on at 4:00 tomorrow afternoon.
There you go.
What is that? The what?
Ring of Honor, Final Battle.
Ring of Honor.
The promo that the pay-per-view that they were previewing throughout Rampage tonight.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch that.
See, Dutch, it's your attention to detail that I love about you.
No, they burn me out. This and this and this and this and this and this and this. I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Then they go in where they're going to be next week. It just all runs together. I'm hit with overload of information. So I just shut it down.
SP3, what kind of overloaded information are you going to be talking about on the True Heel Heat channel this weekend?
Tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. Got True Hill Heat 204 with myself, Miss Chrissy Love, special guest, Post Wrestling's own Andrew Thompson. We also got watch-alongs for Final Battle at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as NXT Deadline at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'll be back on the channel on Sunday to review both shows. So subscribe to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel.
I think you're right, Steven. I think a lot of titles are going to change hands at Ring of Honor this weekend. Given the news that Ring of Honor is going to be probably going to be getting their own TV show here soon and less time on AEW. I think you could take it to the bank. I don't think Chris Jericho is hanging on to that title this weekend. I'll say that much at least. Good show tonight, guys. We only went over by 17 minutes. Not too terrible. Don't think I'll get yelled at too much. We'll be back next week, 11:05, breaking down everything that happens. We'll be here to talk about the Intercontinental title match, talk about the story with the Bloodline. We'll see if Sami Zayn is still standing. We'll find out if LA Knight is dead or not. A lot of reasons to tune in next week. Here on the Sportskeeda Wrestling Facebook and Twitter channels and the Wrestle Binge by Sportskeeda YouTube channel. Have a great weekend, everybody.